All right, well, joining us today, special guest is head coach John Lentz. Coach, you coached here for 29 years. You spent 4 years as a player at Lenoir-Rhyne. I guess just to start with this 100th year of basketball, what made Lenoir-Rhyne so special to you and made you devote, the majority of your life to Lenoir-Rhyne athletics and Lenoir-Rhyne men's basketball?
Well, I think my playing career, I found a new home at Hickory. Every time I went back in the summertime to Jersey, I knew I didn't want to go back to Jersey. Okay, I'd seen too many of the former guys ahead of me come back and just hanging out, and I said, it's got to be something better. And then didn't hurt that my wife and I met my senior year, but I thought Hickory was a good place, and North Carolina was a good place, and I enjoyed my playing time here. And when the chance came in '86 to come back, I was the head coach at Pfeiffer, and came down between, I think, me and an assistant coach from Appalachian State. I can't remember his name. He played at Surrey Community College and then played at Appalachian State. But Keith Oakes hired me. So I think back in the early 90s when we were really pretty good, I looked around but never really had any good feelers. And my son was coming along, and I said, well, you know what? Who better to coach him than me, because we had been spending a lot of time together. I'd say I'm going over to the gym to recruit. That's back in the day when we didn't have cell phones and you had to go to the office and call or use a credit card. And I said, I'm going to make some calls and write some letters, and after that will work out. So one thing led to another. He played for me for 4 years, and then he was my assistant for 9 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, so you are both a coach here, a player here. I got your accolades. I'm going to read them off. I'm going to give you a little ego boost. 5-time conference coach of the year, 8 regular season titles, 4 conference tournament wins. You're the overall men's basketball leader in sack victories, overall wins in the sack era. As a player, you had a 79-42 record, league most valuable player, 3-time all-conference. So I guess you have the record for most career assists, the record for most assists in a game. So John Lentz, the player, versus John Lentz, the coach. Which one are you more proud of, I guess?
Well, I'm proud of both. I'm proud of my playing days because a lot of people, when I was growing up and was senior in high school, said I wouldn't be able to play. But a fellow who took me under his wing by the name of George Lehman, way past your age, played in the old ABA for 10 years. And, I thought I worked hard until I got around him. It was a whole new story then, boys. And then in the summertime, there was 4 of us for 4 summers. We'd get together and we went all over South Jersey, all over Pennsylvania. We'd go wherever there was a game going up. And the 4 of us played together, and we always had to pick up somebody else. And the good thing about it, we were all still friends. We get together out in Knoxville. Well, we have been getting together out in Knoxville. I don't know about this year. For the last 5 or 6 years. For my last 3 years of coaching, they came down from Jersey and watched me coach. And I just played all the time. And then I just wanted to pass that on to young men. I don't think I ever got into coaching because of wins and losses. I got into coaching because I wanted to try to help kids get better, learn how to work hard, become a better person if that's possible. And I think for the most part I did. The 29 years, only 2 that stayed with me past their sophomore year didn't graduate. And I know what 2 they are. One tried to come back and took some classes. Then they added more and more hours, and he just couldn't afford it because of family obligations. And the other one just didn't have. He didn't want to go to school anymore. That was all it was to it. He had his 4 years, was all conference player, good player, and just didn't want to go to school anymore. So, but they're the only 2 that didn't graduate to stay with me at least past their sophomore year. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, you mentioned that one. On top of that, what are some of your favorite memories from your coaching days, your playing days here at LR? What are some ones that kind of pop into your head as your favorites?
Coaching-wise, the 92-93 team was really special. Nobody expected them to do much. we were actually 5-5 at one point, and we finished up
Oh, wow.
25-7.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we lost the last regular season at home, which won the league for Presbyterian. They were 14-1. We were 13-2, and all I said in the locker room, we'll get them again. So we met them in the conference tournament finals, beat them. Then we got in the district playoffs, and we had to go there for the finals, and we beat them at PC to get to the finals. And we were only 2 points away from maybe winning a national championship because the team we lost to, Hawaii Pacific, they had one of the schools folded in Hawaii. So they merged the two teams. They took the 15 best players, and we lost by 2, missed a shot at the buzzer that could have won it, and they won the next 2 games pretty easily. So we were that close to maybe winning a national championship. And I chased that team for the last 24 years, and I came close a couple times, but just didn't match those guys.
It shows us it's not an easy thing to do to win a national championship, right? It takes a lot of things going right.
I mean, perfect example who's had really, really good teams over the years. My roommate, Rick Barnes, I mean, he's had some teams that have really, really been good, and it's just hard to get Jack Jensen, who coached at Guilford for a long time, played against his teams, coached against his teams. He told me when you're in that tournament, you have to win one game that you're not supposed to win. And the one we lost was the one, if we would have won, we might have won the whole thing. So, but that's the way it was. So, and the other Tyrone McDaniel's already in the Hall of Fame. His running mate, backcourt mate, Jeff Haddix, get inducted this April.
Yep.
So puts that backcourt in our Hall of Fame. And I think Larry Lentz at some point in time might get in the Hall of Fame too, because he was third-team All-American that year.
Yeah, sure.
And nobody expected him to do anything. Probably if he went to college for football, State and Carolina were recruiting him, but he was afraid they were going to make him a defensive tackle, and he wanted to play tight end. So he came to Lenoir-Rhyne to play basketball. I said, that's fine with me.
That worked out, it looks like.
Worked out real good.
Let's fast forward just to this past February. Probably a special day for you, a special day for a lot of people associated with Lenoir-Rhyne men's basketball. They named John Lentz Court. They named that after you. We had the ceremony before the Anderson game. What was that day like for you, and what did it mean to have the court with your name on it from here on out?
It's a great honor. That day went by, and I was in probably a daze most of the day because there were so many people saying hi, hello, congratulations, this, that, and the other. But seeing all those former players come back was pretty amazing. And then my wife surprised me when she had those 9 high school teammates come down from Jersey. And my 9th grade basketball coach, Coach Curl, he was there, who eventually coached 25 years in the NFL. And I guess after we coaching that 9th grade basketball team, which four of the guys and myself were on that team, he probably knew there was better things ahead than coaching 9th grade basketball. That was pretty special. And the odd thing about it, the next day I went up there with my wife and my sister, and we took some pictures, but then everything closed up. So I didn't get to see it for 3 or 4 months. And then I walked in there one day, and one of the basketball assistants said, "Coach, what are you doing?" I just said, "I'm just saying if my name's still on the court." He said, "Well, why would they take it off?" I don't know. I worked here 29 years and saw some crazy things happen. Who knows?
We're not going to get rid of that quickly. Speaking of which, we've got our first game of the year this Saturday, first home game and first game of the year this Saturday against Catawba. Put your coaching shoes back on. How would you navigate through a time like this when times have been scattered? You're doing stuff virtually. I don't know. Are you a technology guy? How would you do this?
If guys weren't, if the guys were still answering the telephone, I would have called them more, but they were answering texts more than they were calls. So I had to learn how to text. And for a long time, I had a flip phone, so I had to do, if you're doing a C, you got to 3 times. And so finally, I got an upgrade. My wife moved up, and I keep getting her hand-me-downs phones. But this would be tough. As a player, it would be hard, but also with the virtual learning, I would love it as a player because, in a sense, I can get in the gym anytime I want. And I got arrested my freshman year for breaking into the gym so many times. And security guard caught me about the 10th day in a row, and he says, "You do it again, I'm going to arrest you." I said, "All right." The next day, I'm in there again. He took me down the station. I called J.D. Barnett, and he used some language like, "But what were you doing?" "Coach, all I want's a key. I just want to work out, that's all." And I'd always stick a stone in different doors or crack different windows. And that's before all that stuff was built on the side of Schufer. I could climb in through the football windows. Okay. I climb back out, make sure the door was locked so nobody said he was breaking in. But just spending time in there would be great way for player improvement during this time, sure. Because from what I learned, they're allowed to come in on their own and work out, which that would be unbelievable. But as a coach, I don't know. It's guys are going to come back next year that you think are going to graduate, and it makes it hard recruiting because you don't know what kind of funds you're going to have available for the following year. So it's going to be a tough year. It really is.
Sure.
And if they get 15 games, then they're going to be lucky.
Yeah. Not the way we want to celebrate our 100th year of basketball this season for sure. But I guess when you can kind of look back on the 100 seasons, and obviously you weren't here for all of them, but I know you've been keeping in touch with since you've finished up here. Just describe what Lenoir-Rhyne basketball means and what does it mean to get to this 100th year and this 100th year celebration.
It was really important for me as a coach because I played here, and I've got to represent this because I played here and tried to make the best of it, and we won games when we were here, and I want to do that for the players. So the basketball means a great deal for me, and I pull for as much as I can, and I can't go see any games it's right now anyway. So. But it's important. I want them to be successful. I'd like to have all the teams successful, and it looks like they have the right president now and the right AD now that are spending a little bit of money because to be good, you're gonna have to spend some money to be good. You can't nickel and dime things and be successful. So I'm pulling for them. I'm hoping they can win as many games as they can. And
well, I guess just to finish up with you. What are some of the highlights of your time? I know you mentioned coaching your son. You mentioned graduating a lot of kids. Just a couple brief highlights. I know it's probably tough with the amount of time you spent, but what are some of your favorite memories?
The big thing I miss is the interaction with the kids during practice. I don't miss the summer recruiting. I mean, that got to be really tiresome. I don't miss getting in a van and riding 4 hours to Lincoln Memorial or a bus to it's just that I miss the interaction with practice and trying to help kids get better. And actually, one of my former players is still overseas playing, Will Perry.
Yeah, he's
moved up each year. So and Tyrone McDaniel played over there for about 17, 18 years. He just kept moving around, and a couple other guys had chances, but they just didn't feel like going. But just the interaction with the guys, it really is, and that was so good in February, just seeing all those former guys that you don't get to see very often, and even some of my teammates were back for it, which was that was special as well. So I think that's the big thing, just interacting with the kids, making sure they, back when I was there, we didn't have all this. I was the guy that did study hall. My assistant coach and I were the strength coaches. We set up schedules like this is screwed up, so you got to call or call there and try to set up schedules. I mean, we had to wash the clothes sometimes because we didn't have a manager. They didn't have the work study like they do now. So, I mean, we had to do a little bit of everything. So, getting the clothes ready for the game. I mean, it was a whole different thing. And all those years we drove vans to games to Carson Newman, Newbury, to Lincoln Memorial, and then the last 7 or 8 years, finally about 4 trips or 5 trips, we would take a bus, which made it a little bit easier. But still, when you went to go to Lincoln Memorial on a Saturday and play an 8 o'clock game, I know they made it 2 and 4 now. It makes it a little bit easier, but you play an 8 o'clock game at Lincoln Memorial and you get back, and then you're saying, "Hey guys, you need to get up and go to class tomorrow." And they're looking at you and going, "Yeah, coach, it's 8 o'clock here. Just get up and go. It doesn't matter what you here just so long as they see you there. So, but it was a good time with most of those guys we've had.
Well, I appreciate you taking time today, and 100 years of basketball, a lot of things to celebrate. Obviously, you're one of the main ones, so appreciate you taking some time, and we look forward to having you hopefully tune in virtually to some of our games and follow along as hopefully we bring home some W's in this 100th year of basketball.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.